Detroit down. While the boss man takes his bonus pay and jets on out of town.
Well, we got the multi-platinum John Rich with us here in the studio today.
Howdy, howdy.
How you doing, buddy?
Man, I don't think I could be doing any better. If I was doing any better, I'd have to sit on my hands and keep them waving at everybody.
Save a horse, ride a cowboy, shutting Detroit down. The good Lord and the man, on and on and on. Big and Rich and John Rich.
Those are just the ones that he sang, not the ones that he wrote or
produced.
He's
written them.
Or inspired.
Blue million of them for some of the leading artists in the country. And I don't like about it, you sit there when he's quiet a minute or two and he's already got another one written. I know what he's doing.
I'm writing one right now looking at you.
Are you really?
Oh, absolutely.
Don't say it out loud.
Oh, I won't. I'm going to keep it to myself.
I want 10%.
Oh, you got it.
I inspired
No
it.
problem.
Only 10?
Huh? Well, you started.
I'm a
You should
much
let her
harder
cut your
bargain
deal.
than
I
you
want to
are.
get the camel's nose under the tent.
But the song I really want to hear is
Yes.
about when we were at Walter Reed yesterday.
Oh,
What we're
wow.
talking about, folks, is at Walter Reed here in Washington, they have a place called Fisher House, which takes care of the families and the soldiers that have been wounded. And the signature injury in Iraq is traumatic brain injuries. And a lot of these guys have had a lot of issues trying to come back to life and come back to society. And so they're doing a lot through music. John was kind enough to show up and provide some resources and some time. And it was a wonderful, wonderful thing to see them light up around John playing just sitting down with a guitar and playing music with him. Thank you for doing that so much. And we're gonna be promoting this cause. It's really important, and it's a really special thing to see these guys come out of their rooms.
Music can do things for people that regular therapy can't do. I can tell you, if it wasn't for music, there's no telling. I'd probably be in jail. I mean, being able to concentrate on music lets you concentrate on something great, and it activates a different part of your brain. And these guys yesterday, you're seeing guys that are, missing a leg, missing an arm, like you said, the post-traumatic stress syndromes, and they're sitting there with their guitars, and when they put their guitars in their hands or their keyboard or whatever, a whole different look comes into their eye, and they start talking and feeling better. And I can't think of a better way to spend my time than go hang out with those guys, especially for what they've sacrificed for us. I don't think people have a full appreciation for what kind of sacrifice that is till you actually sit in a room and hang out with them for an hour.
Yeah.
Then you start to get a clue as to what they've been through. And then you also start to realize when you hear people on your television talking down about our military and what they're out there trying to accomplish, you realize that these guys hear all that. And they ought to just shut their mouth.
They should shut their mouth. And it's not just these guys that have come back. It's their wives and their little children that
little
are there
kids
with them.
running
And seeing
around.
those, and the kids were dancing through your music, and that's what's so frustrating. That's why Fred and I wanted to do this show in large part.
Yeah.
And I think why we became friends. Early
You know how many
on.
of these shows I've missed? 0. I listen to you every day.
Our radio show?
Absolutely. This show I'm on right now. I haven't missed one.
Shoot.
I podcast it.
We're going to have to quit running you down so much.
I
then.
podcasted it. Well, I've heard some of the things. Trust me, I'm keeping account.
You haven't heard any running down, though, I'll tell you that.
But, John, you were also talking last night about, you're on tour right now with Big and Rich, and you've been in how many, 35 cities or what?
35 cities in about
and what
55, 60 days.
You're hearing a lot about, like, what Tea Party people are feeling in here. What are you seeing out there?
Well, the interesting thing is that a music audience is everybody. They're not Republican or Democrat or Independent. They're just music fans, so it's everybody. But I step out on stage, and I've got a song that I wrote on this new record about my granddaddy called The Good Lord and the Man. And it says we'd all be speaking German or living under the flag of Japan if it wasn't for the good Lord and the man being my granddaddy and all of our veterans. But then I've got this shirt that says, if you don't love America, why don't you get the hell out? and we can't even print them as fast as people want to buy them.
Why don't you
this
make
is
it
across the board.
If you'd make it a little plainer, people could understand
Well, I think if people in this town would make it a little plainer, we'd all be way better off. We could stop watching the news so much.
Hallelujah.
I'm about to get tired of it.
Well, you don't pull any punches in your show either.
Well, I'm not running for anything.
But you talk about the military.
Yeah.
You always bring them into what you're doing, and
You're not scared to talk about God.
And
You're not.
Well, Jesus Christ, country music, and the United States military have given me every great thing I've ever had in my life.
Tell us. You mentioned your granddaddy. Tell us a little bit about him.
My granddaddy, Sergeant Bill Rich, told them that he was 18 when he was only 17 because he wanted to go fight that bad. He went over to the Pacific. He ended up with 6 Purple Hearts. He was a tunnel rat and was hooked on morphine after the war was over for months and months and months, and came home. And he went through the post-traumatic. He had nightmares every day till the day he died. He died about 3 years ago. And I grew up around this man, understanding why I get to live such a great life, because guys like him went over there and got multiple Purple Hearts on our behalf. And it really did shape the way I view our country and politics and the way I handle my life and my friends and everything else. And I think the younger generation, if you're not around veterans, go search them out and hang out with them and talk to them. And trust me, you'll have a different appreciation for what you got.
Well, this frankness with regard to your views about your country and where we ought to go is unusual. It's of course we've seen it from a Hollywood standpoint, and we've both seen it from a Music City standpoint. What was the people who produce your records and so forth? Managers and all of that. What did they think about your stepping out and not being bashful about what you thought politically?
Oh, they hate it. Are you kidding me? You know, because they're afraid that you run the risk that you might turn off some of your fans. But to me, that's a risk I'm willing to take. I remember when I was out stumping for you, Fred, and I got up and said a lot of pretty stout things. And my record label said, would you please stop doing that? You know, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that don't agree with what you're saying. I said, well, that's fine. That's why it's the greatest country in the world, because we can all disagree. And at the end of the day, still sit down and I would watch you in a foxhole and you'd watch me in the foxhole.
And the irony of it is it doesn't seem like it's hurting you much. You were up in, where is it, Connecticut recently?
Yeah, up in New England.
And big crowds.
Tens of thousands of people, you know, and they don't care. I think people have respect. I know I do anyway. If I'm at 180 with somebody on a certain issue, as long as that other person that I'm at 180 with is passionate about it, and I mean willing to go to the mat for it, they have my respect.
Up next, more with John Rich. You got the Fred Thompson Show.
The Fred Thompson Show.
Here talking with multi-platinum John Rich, our good friend and buddy, who is going to be
Davenport, Iowa.
On?
It's August 8th, I think it said.
Okay, Davenport, Iowa.
Sorry,
I've been there.
Louder. Go see John Rich and Big and Rich. He's going to be all over the country. Go to johnrich.com.
Davenport, Iowa.
I'm wondering if Fred might come along with me and start stumping all over again in Iowa, starting with that show. What do you think?
Not until it gets down to 5 degrees below zero, and I can slide in there in a little Piper Cub to a halt and knee walk into the pilot's lounge there. Now, when it gets like that, I might be back.
Well, I took notes.
I might be back in Iowa, in Davenport. Listen, we'll talk about what's going on in the country a little bit, but first, we're in the first segment of the show. I want you to know that one of these issues that we're all on top of, you know, and that's this thing that came down in Cambridge, you know, between Professor Gates and Officer Crowley and the presidents having a get-together. And a lot of people have been making fun of it, and I kind of took issue with that because I view this as a teachable moment, as a moment when Americans can come together and dialogue through these things. So the Thompson players have created a little segment here called Cheers, the Obama Years.
You want to go where everybody knows your name.
Cheers is filmed before a live studio audience.
In my conversation with Sergeant Crawley, there was discussion about he and I and Professor Gates having a beer here in the White House. I will not use this time to spend more words on health care.
Not now, we're awash in controversy.
There are some who say that as president, I shouldn't have stepped into this at all because it's a local issue.
I've got a pet little theory about that. You see, if you go back in history and take every president, you'll find that the numerical value of each letter in their last name was equally divisible into the year in which they were elected.
My hope is that as a consequence of this event, this ends up being what's called a teachable moment.
What could motivate an honored and distinguished college professor to launch a personal attack like this?
My tumultuous, outrageous action was to demand that he give me his name and his badge number.
Well, now, maybe it's just a, honest difference of opinion.
Oh, goose poop, Sam. The man's a yahoo.
I acted appropriately. Mr. Gates was given plenty of opportunities to stop what he was doing. He didn't. He acted very irrational, and he controlled the outcome of that event.
As far as I'm concerned, it's your duty as a mature adult.
My choice of words didn't illuminate, but rather contributed to more media frenzy. I think that was unfortunate.
You know we love you, huh? This place wouldn't be the same without you.
I think that me commenting on this and hopefully contributing to constructive as opposed to negative understandings about the issue is part of my portfolio. This ends up being what's called a teachable moment.
That's it, folks. Closing time. Sorry.
Hey, so you guys ready to go fishing?
Teachable moment.
All right. I guess
Wow.
if anybody knocks on the door, check, see who it is before you open it, okay? John, what...
It's going to be the recycling guy looking for all the beer
I don't know.
cans.
We could talk about a lot of different things, but
I'd like to
I know
talk
you're
about
concerned
this.
about the direction of the country and what's going on these days, this or whatever. What's your read on stuff?
Well, my read on that situation, because I was watching that speech like everybody else that our president gave, I saw our president, the most powerful man in the world. First of all, admit that he had a bias, which he shouldn't, towards anyone or anything in our country because he represents all of us. And then secondly, I saw a flash of anger go through his eye, and when he called that police department stupid, that they acted stupidly. So not only did he admit he had a bias, he then turned around and cast judgment down from the most powerful seat on God's green earth. And now he's making a joke about it by inviting them to come to the White House and drink beer. Now, this is the guy that some of you listening to this show put in the White House. I hope you're proud, and I hope you're happy. Because that is the most disrespectful thing I can ever remember happening in my life of a president doing. I think you'd probably have to search every history book out there to find any president that came anywhere close to it. That is not the way a president is supposed to act. Mr. President, you're the most powerful man in the world. You don't have a bias. You don't cast judgment on things you don't know about. And you damn sure don't invite him to have a beer after you're the one that screwed it up. That's how I feel about it. You need to vote him out.
Well, there ought to be a few things in American life where any president doesn't feel like he has to enter into it, especially when one of them is obviously his buddy, and he doesn't know what the facts are. You know, I was taken by the fact that his response was that, well, I wish I should have calibrated my words better. You know, he can drink all the beer he wants to, but he ain't gonna be a good old boy.
No.
As long as he's avoiding the English language like that. Can you come in, honey? I messed up last night. You know, when I acted up and said all that mean stuff to you,
right.
I should have calibrated my words a little better.
Doesn't it degrade though and lessen the position he's in?
Yeah.
When he even comments on
He
things
does,
like that?
and of course, he still got his facts wrong. They said that, I still don't understand, why arresting him, taking him out of his own house. He wasn't in his own house. He followed the cop all down the street. But, he was wrong about that, and he's been doing damage control ever since. Thank you for being here with us, buddy.
Senator, thanks for having me.
It's always a pleasure to see you.
Put your hands together.
All right.
.com.
Turn the radio on.
Turn the radio on. Listen to the music. And y'all don't
Buckle
know.
up, America.
Oh, Senator's a good singer now.